Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our second Platinum Partner demonstration for Public Sector Catering's Plant-Based Week. I'm delighted to say that we're joined today by Meatless Farm, who will be giving us 6 demonstrations today on various products from their range. We'll be speaking with David Fode, who will be introducing today's session, and we'll then pass over to Sarah-Jane Virr, who will also then give us a little bit of background on Meatless Farm and their business and their product range, before passing on to Ben Davy, who will be introducing the different demonstrations. Just going to leave it another few seconds as people log in, but I think we're probably getting there, and I think people will join us as we go. So I'm now going to pass over and go live to David Fode.
Right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm David Fode, editor of Public Sector Catering, and welcome to the second of our cooking demos that are part of our plant-based week that's running through the whole of this week. A full program of a lot of things plant-based. Today, we're joined by platinum sponsor Meatless Farm, a name that has seemingly come out of nowhere to become a significant meat alternative market presence in just a few short years. Caterers working across the public sector are faced, as we know, with growing demand from their customers for more and better plant-based options, whether they're in schools, universities, hospitals, care settings, or prisons. It is a trend that's fast-paced and driven hugely by environmental and health concerns. Caterers have to react to that. And that's where the help of suppliers like Meatless Farm come in, with ingredients, finished products, recipes, marketing and promotional support. I'm pleased to be able to welcome today Sarah-Jane Virr, Sales Strategy Director with Meatless Farm, who can tell us a little bit about the company and its products. Good afternoon, Sarah-Jane.
Hi, David. Thanks a lot for having us today, and thanks for that lovely introduction.
Thank you. And all with her is Ben Davy, who can give us a more practical, hands-on perspective of the products and take us through some of the wonderful dishes that he's created using Meatless Farm products.
Yeah,
hello,
thanks
Ben.
for having us.
You're welcome. So, Sarah-Jane, maybe a good place to start would be just a little bit of a brief overview of Meatless Farm, because, as I say, I think it was only in 2016 that the company was started. Is that right?
That's right, yes. It was Morten Toft Beck, who's a Danish guy, actually, who set up Meatless Farm in 2016. And it was based on his real need from his family. So he's a wife who works hard, he works hard, and have 2 lovely children. And he was really keen to develop some food products that were credible meat alternatives for his family to eat, because he was tired of putting meals in front of them and they were pushing them away. So, you know, in his quest to achieve a great product for his family, he set up Meatless Farm. And our mission is to, you know, solve that need across the world and help to encourage people to eat more plant-based food.
I mean, meat alternative products can be made from a variety of different ingredients, can't they? What's the Meatless Farm recipe?
Well, it does vary depending on the product. So we do have some that are completely allergen-free, so they're based with using pea, but we also have some products that are soya-based as well. But it's largely predominantly driven by the taste of the product, because we know that it's really important to have a product that is credible and tastes really good. So we won't sacrifice our taste for having ingredients that are substandard and don't deliver good quality.
Okay. Speaking from personal experience, because I have tried some of your products, I was surprised. How have you been able to get them to look, cook and taste like the meat they're replacing?
Yeah, it's definitely, well, it's very innovative, and we combine cutting edge technology with our chef and culinary expertise, because we need to blend the two to get the right kind of flavour and texture. But what we also do is we make sure that we test our products with our consumers as well. So we test it with flexitarians, who are people who eat meat and like eating meat, but they just want to choose to eat plant-based on occasions. But we also test it with vegans and vegetarians as well, so that we try and get it as close to meat as possible, whilst we make sure we're satisfying the taste needs of the different groups that we target.
Okay, Ben, perhaps I can bring you in at this point, because it'd be interesting to know from your point of view about the handling of these products for when you're cooking them.
Yeah, well, that's one of the highlights for me, is how easy they are and how easy it is for people to kind of make that swap from meat to plant-based. So be it the mince, we've got a new IQF mince that you could just literally just add it to a sauce, and it holds really well. It holds really well, responds really well during cooking. And the whole range as well. They're all they're easy to cook, and it just makes that transition from cooking meat to plant-based really simple for both the cook and the people eating it as well, which for me is really important, obviously.
Obviously, the public sector relies on an awful lot of people who haven't necessarily got the skills base that you would find in sort of top restaurants. Sometimes maybe the equipment they have to use isn't necessarily as good as it could be. So the fact that these products are very easy to use is a definite advantage when you're looking at the sort of sector we're involved in here.
Absolutely, it's got to be. I think if it isn't, then it's going to cost everyone money, because you're going to spend longer time training staff. You're going to spend longer. There's going to be more wastage. You're going to all these things you can eradicate as long as the product's simple and versatile and easy to use. And that's kind of where we come in.
Yeah. Okay. What about on the nutritional side of things then, Sarah-Jane? That's obviously going to be a concern when you're talking about school children, vulnerable people in care homes, and the hospital sector. They have to be quite careful about getting the nutritional balance right for their customers. So how does Meatless Farm, or how do the Meatless Farm products work in that way?
Well, you're right. Health is really important, because it is one of the key drivers to eating in this plant-based sector overall. But it's not just nutrition; it's also about sustainability, and it's also about ethics as well. So it's a combination and a blend of all of those, and using clever innovation in order to get products that actually are healthier. But what we do know is that it's not that people are looking for healthy products per se. They just want products to be better than meat, or certainly no worse than. So where possible, we do aim to have products that will satisfy that. But obviously, there's the balance of the chef at the end who's creating that dish and putting the plate together. So it's a combination of providing good, healthier, but tasty products. And how the chef, having Ben on board is really great, because he has these really creative ways of producing really great dishes that taste good and are very healthy.
And off the back of what Eshe was saying earlier about the kind of science element, something our kind of team have been working on, which is really exciting, is how you replace fats with. There's ways you can replace fats with things that trick your brain into thinking you've got that succulent. So you've got the succulence, but you're getting it from other ways. So your fat content drops, but you're still getting that mouthfeel, you're still getting that kind of experience you normally associate with a full fat product, which is kind of stuff it's the kind of wizardry that goes on in the background.
Trade secrets, you're not allowed to divulge those, are you?
Brings the fat levels down, and then everyone wins.
Okay, you've touched on there, Sarah-Jane, the sort of the environmental side of things. Is that an important consideration for Meatless Farm?
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, I think, our mission is about actually helping people to make easy meat swaps, so that, we can help to reduce the consumption of meat across the globe. We're not anti-meat though, most of us do eat meat here. We're just about trying to give people the options to choose to eat plant-based when they want to. But with that mission in mind, then, it would be folly for us not to actually care about the environment. Of course, it's central to what we do. And we invest quite heavily, I think, in terms of looking at our supply chain. We actually have a new company set up called Lovingly Made Ingredients in Canada that helps to provide us with our ingredients that are really sustainably sourced, fully traceable, and help to provide quality and consistency at the same time as well. So certainly that sustainability angle and the environmental angle is really important. And I think there'll only be increasing pressure for caterers within the public sector arena to actually start demonstrating those credentials. So we're really keen to work with our partners in the public sector to show how, you know, working with our brand and our products really makes a difference to them, their dishes, and then the consumer and the environment as well.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's that there is quite a lot of pressure on them, and it's growing to be able to give some evidence for any measures they're taking to reduce their carbon footprint. So on that point, does Meatless Farm sort of produce any sort of metrics or measurement on, you know, the sort of the carbon footprint of your products, and perhaps how it might compare with a comparable meat product?
Yeah, we did. I mean, we did a really big piece actually with a doctor called Dr. Joseph Poor, who works at Oxford University, and he does lots of really great studies in terms of carbon footprint and the environment. And he did a piece with us in 2019, and it gave us the really great understanding of the impact of eating Meatless Farm products. So I think if everybody in the UK switched to eating Meatless Farm products, for example, it would be the equivalent of taking 16 million cars off the road. So it's really, really impactful. Just, you know, everybody doing something small makes a really big difference. And we're about to actually update that research. We're using a slightly different source, different methodology, but that will give us all the really important stats that's vital for people to understand what the impact is by switching to Meatless Farm and plant-based eating. So obviously that will be really helpful to share with caterers who have that pressure to then share with their customers what they're doing.
Yeah, very much so, and I'm sure they would be sort of very grateful for that data when it comes out. I mean, on a sort of related point there, what sort of support are you able to provide for caterers in terms of, like, sort of, you know, promotional and marketing support, especially when they are looking to perhaps expand the range of plant-based dishes they're putting on the menu, and anticipating possibly a little resistance from some of their customers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we think, you know, investing in our brand is really, really important. So, you know, I hope that people will have seen, you know, as a consumer, some of our marketing either on their social feed or outdoor billboards or even on TV, because everybody is a consumer, and it's really important for us to help build brand trust. Because as much as there's a great deal of curiosity in this sector, there's a great deal of skepticism, and people aren't really that sure. So it's incredibly important for us, you know, to achieve our mission, to invest really heavily in marketing. So we do that from a consumer angle, but we're also really keen to work with any of our customers to actually help them understand, you know, how we can promote to their customers as well. So we're currently working with some schools, for example. We actually have a partner that we use to help talk about the impact of eating sustainably with school children, because often, you know, having food at school for a lot of children, that's actually their main interaction with food. And there's a real responsibility for schools and school caterers to help educate young children about sustainability in food. So we provide all of that information to try and help raise the awareness from real grassroots children level. And we would do that with all our partners. So we'd encourage anyone to get in touch with us so we can help them promote plant-based eating across their consumers.
Well, that probably has sort of given a sort of a pretty good idea for people watching now about the company itself. But I guess the really important thing is the food. So, I mean, Ben, do you want to start talk us through what you're going to be doing and showing us in the videos that follow?
Yeah, sure. So we've done 6 videos. Yes, I think 6, going through our core range and a few little kind of bonus dishes on there as well. The dishes we've done are a bit more kind of restaurant standard, but the main message on all of them is kind of how easy they are to cook. And I'll talk before each one. I'll do a little introduction. I'll talk you through each thing, the best way of using the meatballs, how we can cook them in bulk, and do you know what I mean? All the little kind of kitchen hacks that are going to be actually useful to someone on the front line who's kind of putting these together in kitchens.
Okay, and you want to kick off? What's the first one we're going to see?
Yeah, first one we did was a burger. So using our kind of standard burger, which comes frozen. Again, it's super easy to use. With this one, we just did some little pickled peppers. We did a smashed hash brown. There's a really good, tasty burger sauce on there. And also, it's quite a fun thing was making sort of cheese fondue. Like it's all plant-based, all vegan. Because vegan cheese can be a bit tricky to kind of get it to that gooey kind of melty stage. So there's a little hack around that. We basically make almost like a cheese sauce, but it's just with soy milk and corn flour. So it's really easy, but it means you've then got a really stable cheese thing that you can add onto a burger and you get that gooiness. So yeah, so that's the fondue burger is what we called it.
Okay, well, that sounds good.
Hello, I'm Ben from Meatless Farm, and today I'm going to be cooking the Meatless Farm burger. Pickled sweet peppers, chipotle mayo, some little smashed hash browns for a bit of texture, some vegan cheese, super gooey and stringy. First job, char the peppers. While that's cooling down, we will do the chipotle mayo, the beautiful smoky chipotle paste. Yes, back to our peppers. So I just want to flash pickle it, so I'm just going to get a little bit of red wine vinegar, a tiny bit of salt, splash of oil as well. Make the cheese fondue. In goes the vegan cheese. So we're going to do hash browns. I'm just going to fry those, get them nice and crispy. Cool, I'm going to show you how to cook the Meatless Farm burger. So you kind of want a medium-low heat. And all we're going to do is get a bit of colour on one side, flip it over, repeat the same thing. You can pan fry it, you can do it on a flat top griddle, roast them in the oven, you can grill them, you can even do them in an air fryer. So yeah, I'm just going to get a bit of colour on both sides. And when you feel it, you can still feel it does have a similar firmness to meat. And that is an awesome plant-based burger.
So there you go.
Right, sorry, yeah, I was off screen for a moment there. That's terrific. The cheese sauce you mentioned, was that used within that recipe, or is that coming up somewhere else?
That was on there. There'll be we've got full, I can't talk today, full recipes for all these dishes as well. So the cheese thing's on there, which we can sort your link for.
Okay. And where can people find them? Because they will be curious and want to know how they can get hold of these recipes.
Yeah, on the definitely on the Breaks website, and on our website as well.
Yeah. Okay. And what's coming up after the burger then? Okay,
next up we've done a keema curry. So this is using our mince. And we do have two types of mince. We've got an IQF, which is you literally just tip it into a sauce and it's everyone's dream. And there's the other one which I've done with this recipe, which is our kind of free flow mince, which you can cook in bulk quite easily. In this one, I do it in a pan. But if you were doing like kilos and kilos of it, you could do it in ovens, in gastro trays. And you kind of want to sort of pre-cook the mince and then add it to your sauce at the end. And again, it's really easy to use. As long as you do that, pre-cook it ahead of time, then add it. If you're doing it in bulk, you're doing a big bolognese or something really straightforward, or a chili, you'd make your sauce, cook your mince, add your mince to the sauce, stirry, chill it down, and then it's ready for the service.
Do you find it takes on board the flavour of the sauce in the way that you would expect meat to?
Yeah, more so, to be honest, because of the way the pre-protein works, it absorbs whatever you put it in, so it takes on all the flavour, it kind of maintains its texture. Yeah, it's really good. So in this one, we just did a vegan coconut keema curry with curry leaves. There's a bit of rice, there's chapatis on there as well. But it's a simple one that'd work for, you could stick that on any menu and it'd go down really well.
Okay, let's watch you make it then.
Hello, I'm Ben from Meatless Farm. I'm going to be cooking a keema coconut curry using the Meatless Farm mince. So first job, we're going to slice an onion. We'll get our onions in. We'll give them a really good seasoning. Cool, so while the onions are cooking, we will take the ginger and turmeric and some fresh garlic so they can go in. We'll start to cook our mince. The best way to get the best out of it is to cook it separately to the sauce and add it to the sauce at the end. That way you're going to maintain a beautiful texture, the mouthfeel's going to improve, the mince isn't going to crumble, you're going to end up with something really similar to meat mince. Cool, now we'll have a little look, and that's looking pretty good. So at this point, we'll flip it over. Okay, then back over to our curry. We're going to go in with our dry spices now. So ground coriander, a little bit of garam masala, and we're just going to cook those spices out only for like a minute or so. Cool, then we're going to take a couple of tomatoes and get these diced up roughly. Cool, and at this point into the onions we can throw 1 tin of coconut milk. I'm going to chuck in the tomatoes and let them cook out. Cool, our curry sauce is pretty much there. Our mince is beautiful and crispy. We'll just go straight in. Give that a gentle stir around. A few peas in there. The final thing we're going to do is temper the curry. So we're going to heat a little bit of rapeseed oil. You could use butter, but I want to keep this plant-based. A few cumin seeds. Yeah, that's there. And that is our curry good to go. Couple of chapatis on there. Let's give it a go. That's ace. Make it, it's delicious.
There you go, that was the curry. With a little dance halfway through, apparently.
I was curious there about the way that you cooked the mince, in that you didn't, when you put it in the pan, immediately try and sort of separate it out. You sort of kept it as a block, but then when it came time to add it to the sauce, it was crumbly, like you'd expect. Is that the way it works?
Yeah, it's the kind of way, because I've been cooking it so much, it just seems to be like sort of narrowed it down to this kind of optimum way of getting the best results. So that way, basically, you colour it on both sides. That helps sort of firm the mince up and activates the methyl cellulose, which is that's the science bit. And then slowly, once that's happened, you can then start flaking it apart, and then you're going to get a better texture at the end. You're going to get those individual strands. Now you could do the same thing, like I say, in an oven. You could put like 4 1 kilo blocks of that on a big gas tray, roast it in the oven. After 10 minutes, kind of turn it over and start, flaking it. You get the same result. But the easiest way, I mean, if you didn't want to use this mince, use our IQF one, which, like I say, just comes in a bag. You just tip it into a sauce. Done. Particularly for public sector, would be an absolute dream.
Are the other products frozen or chilled?
Frozen. Yeah.
Okay. But do they have to be defrosted, or can you cook from frozen with them?
You can cook them all from frozen, or you can cook them from chilled. So depends on what on your circumstances.
Very versatile.
Yeah, really versatile, really flexible in that.
Okay, terrific. What's coming up next, Ben?
We did the sausages next. So we did this in basically, I think we did them in a pan. You can roast them again. I find actually the best results are just in a tray in the oven, a little bit of oil. They kind of firm up really nicely and cook really evenly. In this instance, though, we did them in a pan. Did them with like a hash, like a kale hash with harissa. I think there's some preserved lemon in there, potatoes, that kind of thing. It's like a really good kind of breakfast dish, and an interesting way of doing something with sausages.
Brilliant. Well, let's watch you do it.
Hello, I'm Ben from Meatless Farm, and today I'm going to be cooking the Meatless Farm sausage in a beautiful brunch dish. First job, we're going to roast our onions really slowly, about 150, 160. We're going to slow roast a couple of cherry tomatoes. Next job, we'll cook the potatoes. Then we're going to fry a little bit of garlic and start getting our harissa ready for the potatoes. At that point, we can chuck the kale in. Just going to fry a little bit of harissa. Onions and tomatoes should be ready now, so we'll pull those out. Yes. So in with the onions, We've got the kale and the fried garlic and the harissa. Potatoes in. While that's cooking and going nice and crispy, we'll cook the sausages. I'm gonna do them in a pan quite gently because they are frozen, so they take a little bit longer. I'm going to glaze these a little bit as well with a little bit of maple and Dijon. Get a bit of colour onto this glaze. Then our hash is looking lovely and crispy. And the sausage is over. Another great thing with these sausages, they're really diverse and versatile, so you could split them open and use the sausage meat to make little mini sausage meatballs. You could shape them into sausage patties for a breakfast muffin. So that is nearly there now. The last thing we're going to go on with are our little roast tomatoes, jalapeno, salsa. And there we have it, our kale Roscoff onion hash with Meatless Farm sausages and a roast jalapeno salsa.
So that was the sausages. And again, yeah, for me, yeah, if I was doing them in bulk and doing, large amounts, then straight in the oven, probably be the best bet. Cook them from frozen, so zero wastage. They firm up really nicely. But the hash was just a fun way it's just an fun thing to do.
You mentioned the cooking the sausages a bit longer, and I was interested to know, we've obviously, or you have, by the miracles of modern science, condensed these down to 2 minutes. But I mean, in real time, these dishes would take you how long to make?
It depends. I mean, the cooking the sausages themselves, probably 12 minutes, depending on how you're cooking them. Depends on you, but everyone's oven's different, everyone's hob's different. Things change. So they've just got to be piping hot in the centre, 72. So 12 to 15 minutes. You're doing a lot of them. But I think that dish from start to finish in real life was probably half an hour.
Right. Okay. I mean, that gives people a pretty good guide, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, and what's coming up next?
Next one was the meatballs, which is one of my favourite products. Well, definitely your favourite.
It is my favourite
product. They're so easy to use. You can just drop them in a stew. You can just roast them. You could do them as little canapes. They could go in a sandwich in a tomato sauce. You could stick them in a curry. Just think anything you could possibly think of, and they're really tasty. My kids eat them as well, which is a miracle. So with this one, I did it sort of like a shakshuka, but minus the eggs. So it's like a sort of Middle Eastern kind of tomato stew. There was roast peppers in there. Did instead of eggs, did like a creamy tahini dressing. Again, super delicious, really tasty, really easy to make. But again, the highlight and the main message here is that how easy the meatballs are to use, because you can, like I say, drop them in anything. Whatever your imagination is your limit, basically, with the meatballs in particular.
Okay, well, you're taking us around the world, and we're dropping off in the Middle East now, apparently. So yeah, let's roll the video and watch.
Hello, I'm Ben from Meatless Farm, and I'm going to be cooking the Meatless Farm meatballs in a beautiful, rich, smoky shakshuka, minus the eggs, fully plant-based. Slice an onion, pretty chunky. Straight in there with the onions. Slice up a couple of red peppers. And we're going to cook that down nice and gently for about 10-15 minutes. So next we're going to chuck in a couple of cloves of garlic, thinly slice. A couple of bay leaves. A bit of tomato puree and a bit of a beautiful rose harissa. Chop the tomatoes up, and there you go. A little bit of water just to help bring it all together. I'm going to go in with a bit of cumin, ground coriander, a few cumin seeds as well. It's a little bit of smoked paprika, and we'll let that simmer, cook down for another 10-15 minutes. All right, here we are, and then we're going to go in with the meatballs. The thing with these meatballs as well, they're super diverse. They're really delicious, great in subs. They're great with a traditional kind of marinara sauce. They're good on pizzas, on a skewer, and do them as a canapé. In this instance, though, we're going to bang that through the oven for 10-15 minutes. We're going to go and blanch our kale. Out come the meatballs. Carefully add the kale in there. Give that a little season, baby spinach. And we can start adding that to our shakshuka with a chunky tahini dressing. Then I'm just going to finish it with a load of freshly chopped parsley and mint. There we go, you have a plant-based shakshuka. So we'll give it a taste. Yeah, it's ace.
Right. Well, I can't help noticing, Ben, that you seem to enjoy this. The food you're cooking. A great advert for the products themselves. So with that recipe that you've just been through there, you were talking about the versatility of the meatballs. And I was curious, are they like a sort of an equivalent of like a Swedish meatball?
Yeah, flavour profile wise, yeah, I suppose they are, in that they're kind of, there's not a lot of spice going on. It's just a quite a neutral, just all round savouriness, if that makes sense. Yeah. And they're succulent. They're quite a good gateway plant-based food for me anyway, because they can, like I say, my kids will eat them. You can feed them to anyone, and they're so meaty in their texture, and super juicy. And because they've got quite a neutral flavour, they're still really tasty in their own right, because they're so neutral, you can do them in all sorts of ways. Like I say, whether that is a curry or whether it's something kind of Mediterranean or, you know, teriyaki sauce, or, you know, yeah, super flexible. But yeah, the reason I'm quite excited about this stuff is because it all tastes good, and that for me is the whole point of food, is it should be tasty, and it's
got to be the most important thing, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, you've made some places forget that, I think, but with plant-based food in particular, it had such a bad reputation for years of being boring or bland, or it shouldn't be, because it's just exciting. All these amazing things you can put things, whether it's a salsa or if it's like the creamy tahini, we finished that. All these little things help make the whole thing pop and make it exciting to eat. Good.
Okay. And what have we got after that?
Cool. Chicken burger next, which again is a fun one. Decent one for schools. It comes kind of in a slightly peppered kind of coating, but it's not too aggressive. It's quite mild. And for these, you can roast them in the oven. You can, I think I deep fried them on this one just for ease and convenience. But you can, like I say, you can do them in a pan, in an oven. Multiple ways of cooking them. For this one, we're going to Korea for this one. Don't know why I was going on a bit of around the world buffet for this exercise, but yeah, so we did this, just had a bit of fun with this one. So it's pickled cucumber, made some little fritters out of a vegan kimchi, did a little Korean sort of barbecue sauce with diced apple. So it'll be super spicy and super fresh, and yeah, just a bit of fun. But as a burger in its own right, you can keep it as simple as you want. I've done them with just iceberg lettuce and mayo and in a lovely bun. And it's super simple. Yeah,
can't really go wrong with a burger, can you?
No.
Okay, let's have a look at this one then.
Hello, I'm Ben from Meatless Farm, and today we're going to be cooking the Meatless Farm chicken burger, and we're going to be doing it in a Korean style. So on the bottom of there, we're going to have a gochujang with a little bit of diced apple, and it should be delicious. So we're going to start with the garnishes. Mayo. I've got a bit of it in chili hot sauce. We'll leave that to one side. We're going to temper it a little bit with a bit of fresh diced apple. The gochujang, splash of rice vinegar, pinch of sugar, a little splash of water with the apple. A bit of crunch and plenty of fire. Cool, next up we'll pickle some vegetables, kohlrabi, you can do a bit of mooli, some carrot, possibly. Cool, this is going to be a quick pickle, so we're going to go in with rice vinegar, pinch of sugar, a good scrunch. There we go. Pickles. Last thing, cucumber. We're nearly there now, so this is going to be the kimchi fritters. Kimchi in, flour in. See that? We've got a nice little batter mix. Cool, let's cook the kimchi fritters. Here, we're just going to drain those. Kimchi fritters are done. Next thing, just going to toast our bun. And there we go, bun, beautifully toasted. And then we'll go over and fry the chicken burger. And our chicken burger is done. Super easy to cook. So on goes our yuzu mayo, our beautiful pickles, the chicken burger. Then we'll go with some of our apple and gochujang with the pickled cucumber, and finally kimchi fritters. And that is everything. That is our Korean inspired chicken burger using the Meatless Farm chicken burger.
Okay, very interesting there. I was taken by a point you made about the deep frying the product in that particular instance, and I was curious, have you found any sort of cooking method that doesn't really work with these products?
Not really. I mean, I wouldn't deep fry a meatball probably, just because it'd be
No.
But I mean, generally,
You wouldn't normally, would you?
No, but like the chicken, no, I think they all respond how you'd expect them to, basically, as the meat equivalent would. So, like I said, the chicken burger, it's the same thing, really, minus the filling. So it's still in the same kind of coating a chicken burger would be. So you just treat it the same way. Even some of them, like this is going to sound strange, even the normal burger, we've microwaved that before for an experiment, and it actually cooks really well.
Yeah,
believe it or not. So they're to that extent, they're kind of more flexible than
they're more flexible than from. Okay, and then tell us about the next one coming up.
Last one. This was the chicken escalope. Which I've done in like a really simple kind of butter bowl. So it's a super fresh salad. There's all sorts of pickles on there. There's grains. There's crunchy bits. There's spicy bits. It's a big bowl of health, but then with this lovely kind of chicken escalope on top, which is almost in like it's not quite a breadcrumb. It's almost a cereal coating. You'll see it. It's like really crunchy on the outside, and it's again. I think I'd fried it on this one, but you can stick this through the oven. You could grill it. You could do it in a pan. Again, it's got the versatility that you kind of want.
Right. Let's watch this one being made then.
Hello, I am Ben from Meatless Farm. I'm going to be cooking the Meatless Farm chicken escalope, and we're going to be doing a beautiful butter bowl. There's some rice in there, there's going to be quinoa, going to be a load of different salads. We've got some beautiful radishes, and it's going to be delicious, and a bowl of summer joy. First thing we're going to do, roast a little bit of sweet potato. In the oven, we are going to make some kale crisps. Drizzle of oil, pinch of salt. Just going to roast that in the oven at about 100 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. For a bit of crunch, we're going to toast some pumpkin seeds and some buckwheat. Cool, we're going to shred a little bit of radish. Last few bits we're going to do, slice a few tomatoes and cucumber. We're nearly ready, so I'm going to do a lovely dressing to dress the quinoa. So in with the rice wine vinegar, in with the soy, in with the pickled ginger liquor, a little tiny bit of hot sauce in there as well. Okay, now we're ready to cook the chicken. You can do this from chilled or frozen. The most consistent and easiest way to do it is just to deep fry it because it's quick. Rest for a little bit while we dress our bowl. So in goes the quinoa and the rice. In goes our essential rice seasoning, sweet potato, tomato, avocado, bit of dressing. We've gone with some plant-based yogurt mixed with a bit of sriracha, and finally our crispy chicken escalope, our lovely kale crisps. And there we have our Meatless Farm chicken escalope in a butter bowl.
Right. Okay. Well, that's terrific, Ben. Really enjoyed that. The only thing that was missing was the food itself for us to enjoy, but can't have everything, can you? Important questions just popped up. I've noticed there, and it's asking about the products. Are they allergen free? What can you tell us about them?
It's a bit of a mixed bag across the board, really. The meatballs, mince, burger, sausages are all allergen free, and then there is wheat in the chicken escalope and the chicken burger in the crumb.
Right.
Generally, we I'd say 80% of our range is allergen free. Where possible, we try and steer that way.
Yeah.
There's the occasion where we may use soy instead of pea, or we'll use a mix, but we're pretty clear about which are which. But the headline is our core range is allergen free.
And certainly directionally, that's where we would want to take things, because we certainly know, when you're catering for lots of people, it usually means lots of different diets. So by having one product that will satisfy lots of different diets, it just makes it so much easier when, in the catering world. So it's important to us, but it's just not possible with some of the products that we do at the moment. But give us a year or so, hopefully we'll get the right technology in place and innovation to deliver everything allergen free. Let's see.
All right. And I mean, that actually sort of comes on to another point I wanted to just ask you about, and that's, plans for the range, and how does what you produce potentially benefit the public sector catering market?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because when we set up, we were originally set up, we wanted to help people reduce red meat consumption. So our core range is actually, we've got mince, burgers, sausages and meatballs, so very red meat kind of driven. But there's been such a lot of demand, and we know that actually a lot of consumers are switching out of all different types of protein. It's not just red meat, it's chicken, it's pork, it's all the other meats as well. And there's been such demand for us to increase our range into other areas, which will then benefit caterers who are wanting to produce lots of different meals. So we've got a core range of ingredients, which are really versatile, but we're moving into different kind of need states as well. So we've just launched our sausage roll, which takes us into the snacking arena. We've also just launched our chicken burger, which was our kind of first into a second type of protein. But we're also thinking about the caterer as well. So we've launched some individual ready meals, like convenient meal solutions, because if you're a caterer, you might not necessarily want to provide catering sizing quantities, and you may just have a couple of people that may want that plant-based option. So being able to have these, readily available in your freezer, already conveniently portioned, means that you can still provide a really good plant-based menu with lots of different varieties on there, but not actually having that resource needed to make big quantities that may actually drive more waste as well. So we're just thinking about the caterer in mind and the consumer, and trying to do great tasty products that actually really drive functional benefits for those in the kitchen.
Okay, I sort of mentioned earlier that I'd sort of come across your products obviously through the sort of the retail side of things, but I mean, who are your products aimed at?
Well, certainly there's two main camps of people that we serve. There's one, the consumer, and then there's the kind of user. And as consumers, we developed with everyone in mind. So obviously, vegans and vegetarians will buy this kind of sector. And when we first did some research, we probably expected some vegans to be rejecting products that look like meat. But we were quite interested to find that's not the case, because often people who have moved to a more vegan diet do so for other reasons, like environment and ethics. And actually, often they miss meat. And by eating meat style products with their families, or if they're dining out, for example, that makes them feel a little bit more normal. So actually, vegans and vegetarians are a key kind of audience for us. But obviously, because we are replicating meat, the key audience is flexitarian, and that is the biggest audience. There's a lot more people who are actively trying to reduce their meat intake, but they just find it hard because they love meat. Where most of us here are those flexitarians, really. So for us, it's really important to make sure we have products that are suitable for vegans and vegetarians, and also your meat eaters. So that's the consumer side of things. But from a catering perspective, we know we need to have a great breadth of product that actually gives the caterer the flexibility to use in lots of different ingredients, which, Ben showcased today. There's lots of different cuisines, lots of different types of dishes, lots of different ways that you can actually cook products. So that's really, really important for us as well, to deliver that functional benefit.
Okay. Just sort of looking ahead a little bit, I mean, what do you see as the sort of the challenges that plant-based food faces?
Well, definitely, like the number one challenge is the perception that it's just not tasty and it's a bit boring. And we're really battling, I think, perceptions of really like kind of, traditional products. So as a next generation company who, moves quite at pace, we build a lot of brand trust by marketing to help bring people along and really understand that actually, it doesn't have to be dull. It doesn't have to be deprivational. It's actually about taste. I mean, that's where Ben comes in as well with his, amazing demonstrations about different cuisines and making things taste really good. And that's so important because as caterers, if you put a dish down in front of people and they don't like it, that reflects on you. So it's really important that we invest in the product quality that helps take the risk out of putting plant-based options on the menu.
Okay. And just thinking about the market in general going forward, I mean, how do you see the plant-based market? Do you think we've sort of reached peak, or is there still a lot more room?
No, not at all. I mean, it's in really, really strong growth, and globally, and actually the UK is one of the key leaders of that growth. Actually, it's definitely, one of the more advanced with more product range on the market. But what we've seen over the course of 2020, if people have been, obviously, we've all suffered through COVID impact, but it's actually focused people's minds on the supply chain, really, the sustainability of food. We've all suddenly been woken up to understanding, food. We've never actually had food shortages before, so it's really crystallized the mind, I think, and we've certainly seen a growth of plant-based eating from a retail perspective, where people have been at home cooking more and thinking about the food that they're cooking. So what we expect actually is for people who have then either trialed these products for the first time at home over the last year, or we've seen a great deal of people who were eating it before, but now they're eating it a lot more often at home, and those habits will continue, so out of home into restaurants, children who are eating it with their parents at home, selecting the kind of meat-free products off the children's menu, people in hospitals, actually choosing plant-based because they've got brands that they trust. So we're certainly not seeing a slowdown at all for the category.
And off the back of that, some of the things we've seen, some of our kind of customers within the kind of restaurant world as well, some of their targets of switching menus to be 51% plant-based within 2 years. These are big chains who are making these pledges, and that says a lot, I think, about where this industry is going. The fact that it isn't a fad, it's not just something that's been kind of lurking in the background, it's staying there. It's going to be taking over, and something we see for kind of 10 years time. It's incredible where plant-based is going and how it will switch. Meat will become secondary, which is quite incredible, really.
Yeah, we've seen some dramatic changes just in a very short period of time already, so it's quite easy to believe it. That there's a lot more still to come. I wanted to. I know you mentioned it. I think one of you, at least very briefly, about your favourite products from the Meatless Farm range. Assuming that you both eat them, what are your favourites?
So for me, Ben mentioned it, my favourite is meatballs.
It is it?
Yeah, I absolutely love them because they've got a real like meaty flavour, but it's not overpowering. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's been one of our biggest success in the education arena, because it is really versatile, and from nursery through to secondary you can use it. But I actually eat it quite differently, so I'm not really a kind of spaghetti meatballs person. I actually eat it with a teriyaki kind of style sauce and with pickled ginger, so it has a bit of an Asian feel to it. But that's just me. That's what I really enjoy. What about you?
Mince is a big one for me because, again, it's the versatility is quite amazing. Things you can do with mince, so you can do all sorts with it, and also the burger as well. Because I've kind of often use that as a base ingredient. So rather than have it as a burger, I'll kind of break it up, season it, turn it into a kofta or a kebab, or turn those into little interesting meatballs, or using it as a base to other things. Same with the sausages as well. It's so kind of using them for more than they were originally intended for. So like the sausages, turning those into meatballs and smashing them up and using them to make something different. So yeah.
Okay, great. I just noticed while we're sort of going to start to sort of wind down in a minute, but someone's just come up with quite an interesting question. Obviously, everything at the moment is meat alternatives. Do you have any plans in the future to look at sort of fish and seafood?
Do you know, At the moment, no, but never say never. I mean, I've been here 2.5 years, so I was one of the kind of early first people that started at Meatless Farm, and we were all about red meat. You know, that's where we thought the opportunity was. But this market is changing so quickly, so it'll never say never. You know, don't know.
We're saying that the sort of IMPD team were actually looking at fish this morning. Yeah, so I think this is how quickly things change.
Yeah.
To go from like, no, it wasn't on the agenda yesterday, but this morning literally they were like, oh, what can we do? So yeah, things are moving quite quickly. So as Jay says, yeah, never rule anything out.
All right. Sarah-Jane, do you want to just sort of take the opportunity just to have a little bit of a quick wrap up of where you see sort of Meatless Farms and about what you've done today?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the start points is that this isn't going to go away. There's obviously a lot of pressure from you know, governments to try and improve sustainability, and we need to be putting more information on menu and helping people to actually eat plant-based. So I think that's not going to go away. So it's really important to do something. I think one of the key benefits of Meatless Farm is that we do appeal to everybody. It is about vegans, vegetarians and flexitarians as well. So we're very inclusive in our brand. And it's great to actually you know, be set up that we can help and support our customers, our caterers in this instance, to actually better serve their customers as well. I think being taste-led is really key as well. You know, like Ben, you can see he's really passionate about food, and that's why that's why we brought him on board as our ambassador. And obviously as caterers, you have to be passionate about food as well. So us having taste as our #1 driver is really key, because we have that kind of quality standard. But the last thing really is our investment in the brand, because you know, everyone's curious, as I mentioned earlier, but there's a lot of skepticism, and the thing that cuts through that is a really strong brand, and we think it's really important to continue to do that to help change those perceptions of dull, boring, plant-based, meat-free alternatives.
Okay, and for sort of recipes and more information about the products, what's the best place for people to go?
So the Meatless Farm website, that will have all the recipes on from today. It also has all our distributor information as well, which we have national distribution. We also have various regionals and specialists as well. And if they're not on there, just get in touch, because you know, we're happy to talk to anybody about plant-based eating. So we'll certainly talk to you guys.
Right. Well, I'd like to thank Sarah-Jane, Ben, Meatless Farm, our platinum sponsor for today, and to you too for joining us. We'll be uploading a recording of this session to the Plant-Based Week page on our website later today. Don't forget, we have a program of cooking demos running every day this week, as well as our webinar tomorrow morning starting at 11 o'clock, when Dr. Rupi Aucha will be talking about culinary medicine and the secrets behind successfully developing and selling plant-based dishes. Details of all of this are on the slides that follow. Goodbye.